Hi, it's Jennie and Laurie of Astropath. We are talking now about those of you who were born at the disseminating moon. So first of all, astronomically, what does it mean to be born at the disseminating moon? And then we'll think about how we know if you were born at the disseminating moon.
That sounds great.
Okay.
This is when you've already had the full moon, and now we start seeing that that moon is getting less and less round. It still has quite a bit of light, but it's rising an hour later each night. So basically, after the full moon, it's going to come up about an hour later the next day. And so for the next sort of 3-ish days, that's what you're going to see that is coming up later and later. You're going to have to stay up later and later to see it.
Okay, so if let me open up a little example chart here. And in this chart, we've just got the sun here at 0 degrees Aries. Now, in order to know if you are born at the disseminating moon, you want to, first of all, you need to know that there's 30 degrees in each sign. And what you're looking for is, if you were born at the disseminating moon phase, the moon is going to be between 135 and 90 degrees behind the sun. So that means in this direction. Now, specifically, if you're born at the disseminating moon and the sun happens to be at 0 degrees Aries, you would be born at some point between 15 degrees Scorpio and 0 degrees Capricorn. So at some point in that area, you will be born at the disseminating moon. So keep that in mind. 135 to 90 degrees behind the sun, 30 degrees in each sign. So with all of that, now that you've determined that you were born at the disseminating moon, what does that say about a person born at this time?
Well, I think the word disseminating covers a lot, right? Because disseminating
really
means that
does.
you're giving away your wisdom, that it's
Right.
teaching, it's communicating, it's conveying all of the consolidated, the accumulated material of your knowledge. And now you're disseminating that wisdom, you're sharing that. And so there's a huge focus on giving that out, right?
Right.
I know some of that.
Yeah, this is very much the teacher position. This is, if you think, there's so many ways that we can think about these things. And one way that I think about the phases of the moon is I think of them in terms of, past lifetimes. If we think of ourselves as having series of lifetimes rather than just strings of them that go on forever, if we have series of lifetimes, this would be the one right after the full moon, which is the full illumination of the cycle. And now is the time to give out all of the wisdom of these past lifetimes that you've been building. At the full moon, there's a shift from building to meaning making, and now you're giving that information out into the world. So yeah, anyone who's born at the disseminating moon really has to discover or understand what it is that has given their life meaning, and then pass that on.
Yeah. And I think, so in our plant cycle analogy, well, now we are, we've gone through the bloom and it's all about sex, right?
Right. It really is.
Because at this point you have the swelling fruit is what you're, and you're thinking it's more about how do you pass on the wisdom to the next generation. It's the propagation for the next cycle. You've turned away from the build of the whole first half. And now you're just really thinking about, it's a little more future oriented and passing your vision along and thinking about how you can instruct that next generation. I think the pitfall of the disseminating moon can come when you're just so concerned with the fact that you're supposed to be teaching that you lose sight of what you're teaching, and you get a bit narrow-minded and caught up in like, well, I'm doing my thing. You need to know this. And really it takes a little more adeptness and broad-minded thinking. And that's what you want in a teacher, right? You don't want a preacher who's dogmatic. You want a teacher who's open and can provide you with, you're on your own path, but it can provide a little more openness.
Oh, that's great. I like that. That's interesting. Yeah. Another thing to think about is that it's good for us to all be very aware of the phase that we are born in, and to think of that as a time each month that we really resonate with our emotional nature, the connection, the relationship between the sun and the moon in our own charts. And, you know, whereas each year at our birthday time, we have that warmth of the sun approaching the sun in our chart. Each month we have that a similar kind of resonance to the phase that we're born during. So if you were born during the disseminating moon, go out under the night sky about 2.5, 3 days after the full moon and enjoy that resonance.
Yeah. And I mean, also too, like this is going to give you a little more information about your moon and your sun. So whatever your sun sign is, whatever your moon sign is, well, now you have a little more understanding how they work together in this phase. It may have a couple different aspects here. The disseminating phase does contain one of the trines between the sun and the moon, which is a really nice thing to have in one's chart. I might know somebody like that.
You might.
It just refers to how the inner and the outer energies are aligned, you know, are aligned in a way that works well together. So if you are in that, I mean, there's a lot of wisdom here that can just be given out in that way, because you have this really nice flow of inner and outer. So use it to understand yourself a bit better.
Yeah. The disseminating moon's awesome. I just have to say that. Anything else we need to say about that?
No, I think we've covered the bases
here. Yeah, I feel like, you know, in some ways the disseminating moon is so simple. It's just about the top of the mountain has been reached and now you're giving it back. You're
on the path winding down, and and just in the moon sense too, we're starting to lose the light. So it's still very bright in the sky, but it's slowly walking its way back into the shadow, which is the regenerative possibilities for the next generation. So that's what's super cool about it, I think.
All right. Okay. Thank you, Jennie. And we'll see you in the next video.